What's good? It's your boy Fanon. All right. I'm going to ask a question because I'm sitting here in my office, having a little sip of wine, reflecting on the day's boxing news. And it occurred to me that Eddie Hearn just might be the worst promoter in the United States of America. And the reason that I think that, or that I wonder if that's the case, is I'm having a hard time thinking of any promoter that I know of having done less with more than Eddie Hearn has. Let me repeat that. I don't know of any promoter who has done less with more than Eddie Hearn has. And that has to qualify him as the worst promoter in the United States of America. If you're not subscribed, please subscribe to the channel. And thank you for tuning in. If you're hit the bell icon so you can get to the live streams that we have in the morning. But let me go through this, man. I'm going to compare Al Haymon and Eddie Hearn. Now, the reason why I was thinking about this is because of the 15 fight card a year deal for 3 years that the PBC has agreed to with, I think it's ITV in the UK, to enter into the UK market. Now, we've known that Al Haymon was going to be entering in the UK market for a while. And on the other side, we know that Eddie Hearn opened Matchroom USA. Now, when Matchroom USA was opened, Eddie Hearn had what could be arguably considered the top up-and-coming superstar in boxing. And the reason why I say that is because he had, obviously, is Anthony Joshua that I'm talking about. He's an Olympic gold medalist from the UK. He's a good fighter. He is a well-spoken young man. He is everything that would seem to be easy to sell in the U.S. market. He also eventually got a commitment that he could say was worth $1 billion, right, from DAZN. But he refuses to use his best talent to come into the U.S. market. Anthony Joshua, who is his best talent, still has not fought in the U.S. Does not look like he's going to be fighting in the U.S. anytime soon. He got $1 billion, quote unquote $1 billion, and still has not signed any significant marquee fighter. Of all the money that he's gotten DAZN to give him to put these cards on, he's putting on cards on the outskirts of Wichita, Kansas, and Providence, Rhode Island, or was it Connecticut? I can't remember. Was it Connecticut? In the suburbs of Chicago, you constantly seeing really very, very empty crowds and just no buzz around the cards that he's putting on in the U.S. at all. And at the same time, if you compare that to what Al Haymon did with just one star, right? Al Haymon when Al Haymon started as I know he's not a promoter, but I'm just going to use him for that for the sake of this. He started with Floyd Mayweather Jr. And he grew Floyd Mayweather Jr. being a manager for Floyd Mayweather Jr. when Floyd Mayweather Jr. was with Showtime, and being an underling from what I saw at the time to Richard Schaefer and Oscar De La Hoya, to having over 200 fighters, a network deal with Showtime, a network deal with Fox, and a very realistic chance to make a dent in the market in the UK. Also has had the top two. His organization is responsible for the top 2 pay-per-view events in the history of boxing. All off one superstar. So if you compare what Al Haymon did with Floyd Mayweather Jr. with what Eddie Hearn has done with Anthony Joshua, it really, really is night and day. And I remember going and listening to, you guys who were telling me and everybody else that will come to their channels with these crap, phony accounts. Even that has died down, right? Fred from Barbershop Conversations said that he had called, shout out to Fred from Barbershop Conversations, said that he had called DAZN and asked if they were going to be flying him out to the next card. They were going to be flying, not him, because, he was just kind of clowning because he knew that other people in the media had been flown out to other DAZN cards. So he was just checking to see, since DAZN doesn't appear to be doing very well at all, whether they were still doing that. And DAZN tells Fred from Barbershop Conversation that it was a failure and that they're not going to do it. If you haven't checked out his video, go to Barbershop Conversations, subscribe to Barbershop Conversations, and check him out. Now, my thought is, all the time that Al Haymon is growing the PBC, the media was telling you every week, Dougie Fisher, Steve Kim, people on Boxing Scene, Eddie Hearn, Bob Arum, Kathy Duva, that the PBC was going to fail. But yet here we are, several years later, and it seems as if they continue to grow. When are you guys going to throw the towel in on Eddie Hearn? That's what I'm wondering. When are you going to throw the towel in on Eddie Hearn? Eddie Hearn could not sign Adrian Bronner. Eddie Hearn cannot sign Tank Davis. Eddie Hearn cannot sign Deontay Wilder. Eddie Hearn did not sign Canelo Alvarez. You got Canelo Alvarez fighting on DAZN, I do believe, this weekend, and there's absolutely no buzz about it whatsoever. And the one good thing that DAZN has going on in my books is the World Boxing Super Series. Those are competitive fights. Those are fights that I want to see. But it comes out in the news that that they might not be continuing it. They might be cutting off they being the owners of the World Boxing Super Series might be cutting off the World Boxing Super Series in the middle of the second season because of the investors in the World Boxing Super Series, not coming, some of them not meeting their commitments. So my question is, if I'm DAZN and I've got to figure out who am I going to commit to? Am I going to commit the money that I have to Eddie Hearn, who's getting me fights in Wichita, Kansas, in Providence, Rhode Island, and won't, and I guess no, he did put Anthony Joshua on DAZN, but Anthony Joshua's name in the United States is not growing because he's not fighting on a U.S. card, so that doesn't even help DAZN. It's just interesting, man. It's just interesting looking at this, though. If, like I said, if you look at how the PBC has grown and what PBC did with pretty much the same resources that Eddie Hearn has, right? They had one superstar and an investment banking firm willing to bank them. With all of the failure that was projected on them, they continue to grow. And in this point in time, the organization looks fairly strong. Eddie Hearn is not achieving anything. I'm thinking, like, why wouldn't DAZN, like, if DAZN gave that same deal to Top Rank, would Top Rank be in a situation where they couldn't sign anybody? I have a hard time believing with that much money committed to Top Rank that Top Rank wouldn't be able to sign some top American fighters. And I don't mean second tier, like, I don't mean, top 80th percentile fighters or top 95th percentile, 90 percentile fighters like Demetrius Andrade and Daniel Jacobs, who, I mean, Demetrius Andrade and Daniel Jacobs might be the third and fourth best welterweights, the third and fourth best middleweights. You know, it could be argued that they're either the fifth and sixth or the fourth and fifth best middleweights. And that's the most that Eddie Hearn could get out of all that money that DAZN had promised him or allowed him to claim that he had. It's just, you know, I don't want to say, I don't want to come off like I'm gloating, but is it time yet? Is it time to call Eddie Hearn in the United States a failure? You know, if it's not, dude, it's, you know, the fat lady, if the fat lady ain't sung, the fat lady is sitting up there, you know, getting her voice ready. It's just not a good look. So anyway, you know, I was just wanting to share those thoughts with you while I hear these, you know, fairly good news. I don't know if it's good news or not, because I don't know what the PBC is going to do with those fight cards in the UK. I'm not in the UK, so I'm not going to be watching ITV. I'll watch whatever the fights are if they're shown in America. But, you know, I do believe, though, that this is going to be a situation where it's free. But, you know, at the end of the day, the reason why Eddie Hearn is probably the worst promoter in the United States is because of his inability to humble himself and work with other people. If Eddie Hearn had the same ability that Al Haymon has, which is to keep his mouth shut and work with other people, you know, Eddie Hearn might have been a real risk out here, man. But seeing it was all about Eddie, you know, I don't think that's the case anymore. But anyway, it is what it is, and we'll see what's happening with that. And with that, I'm out. Peace.